Folks, I got to be honest with you. For the longest time, I didn't really pay too close attention to Charlie Kirk. He was someone who I had saw a clip or two here and there of, and I didn't take him seriously. And one thing that I'm guilty of is I'll see someone who to me is just over the top stupid, and I'll just kind of write it off like nobody would buy that, and I'll keep scrolling. And then it keeps growing and getting bigger and bigger until you can't ignore it anymore. I have people keep reaching out to me, sending me clips. Can you believe this guy said this? And I'm like, wait a minute. He really is afraid of black pilots? Is that real? So, once I started digging in and looking at the things he has to say, I was like, dang, he's really saying this stuff. And he has an audience built in that hangs on every word and believes everything that he's saying. His audience thinks that the game is all rigged against them, that everyone's out to get them and take away their way of life. And they long to go back to the 1950s. Even though Charlie Kirk was born in 93, he still thinks that he would love to go back and live in the 1950s. Well, I was born in 1980, and I can tell you this, Charlie, I wouldn't want to go back to the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s. I don't want to go backwards. I just have no desire to do it. Don't get me wrong. There was things about the 80s I truly loved. I loved growing up in the town I grew up in back then. Things seemed so much different to me. Everything was different. People seemed different. People didn't seem as polarized as they are today. At least to me back then in my child mind, they didn't feel that way. And, I loved watching wrestling in the 80s and in the 90s. And it was during the Mike Tyson era. I was a huge boxing fan. Yeah, I think boxing kind of sucks these days, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I was kind of excited to see Tyson return, even though he was 58 years old. I was still excited to see it. But I don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back there and live. I don't want to go back there and stay. I want to keep moving forward, and I want to progress. And the last thing I ever want to be is the old man sitting and telling the kids to get off his lawn. The last thing I want to be is the guy sitting here in a chair shitting on everything that I disagree with or everything that I just don't understand. But that's Charlie Kirk. He is the guy that if you're an angry, disgruntled white dude that don't understand something, then he's the guy that will try to explain it to you. And in this next clip, he comes out and admits that, Democrats probably do have black people's support. And he says he would rather have boomers. Take a look at this.
Oh, Wayne, yes. And so I'm saying boomers are probably right now. I think they're out of what's easy. I think blacks actually might go back to Democrats in higher numbers than we might realize. I think, however, blacks don't vote in the same numbers as boomers. And it's just they have lower turnout. And so I would rather be us than them. Let me be very clear. I would rather have to bring boomers home than have to go bring disaffected black voters home.
I like how he goes ahead and admits that the black people aren't really for Trump. That's funny to me because Trump has been out there on the campaign trail. He's been going to Chick-fil-A's and getting random hugs from black voters. And he's brought rappers up on stage. And he said that he was selling sneakers to appeal to black people. And his mugshot would appeal to black people. They've really doubled down and tried to paint this narrative that black people are suddenly getting behind Trump. And Kirk right there just admits like, yeah, it's probably not happening. It's probably not going to work out to our advantage. He's going ahead and saying it. I wonder how that makes the black conservatives like Tim Scott and Byron Donalds and Candace Owens, all the ones that rallies around someone like a Charlie Kirk. I wonder how it makes them feel to hear him say, yeah, really that's all bullshit. So let's just focus on the boomers. I would rather have them. What he's essentially saying is he would rather have an older mindset. That's what he's saying, a mindset that's not as diverse. And I'm not here at all to shit on boomers. I don't believe in doing that. I don't ever really it's very rare that I use the term boomer in a derogatory way. I'll say it sometimes jokingly. If I have a moment, I may say I had a boomer moment, but I may say that jokingly, but I don't down boomers because my parents are boomers. And I realize that a whole lot of my audience are boomers. And you guys don't buy into Donald Trump and his bullshit. We see through it. So just because you were born in a certain era does not mean that you automatically go along with it. What Charlie Kirk, though, is saying when he says he would rather have boomers, he's not talking about you progressive boomers. He's not talking about boomers that dislikes Trump. He's talking about this old mentality and this old mindset. And this old mindset that just walks around all the time saying, why ain't there no white music award shows? And why ain't they a straight night at the NBA games? Take a look at this.
I actually have a belief. So you know how all the NBA teams do like a Pride night? I think there should be a straight night at the WNBA games.
Because it's so hard to find.
Yeah, because it's mostly straight if you're an NBA fan, and then they have Pride night, and the gay community's welcome. I think the straight community should be welcome to at least one of the WNBA games.
Okay, before I address that idiotic comment, I just want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in to my channel every day. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit that little notification bell, and you'll know when I post my videos. It just helps boost things in the algorithm and get them out there further. Leave a comment if you feel like it. Join in on the conversation if you want to. If you don't, just sit back and enjoy it. I really appreciate you guys for being here. Before I address that ridiculous comment, though, I want to start off by addressing the elephant in the room, and that is the fact that I know I don't look the part. I know that there's been a whole lot of people who have scrolled past my videos for the longest time and didn't click on them because they thought I was just going to be another Trump supporter. They thought I was going to be another redneck white dude. I've had so many people reach out to me and say, I scrolled past your videos forever and wouldn't stop on them because I thought it was going to be the other point of view. I had a black lady reach out to me and she apologized. She was like, I'm really sorry for prejudging you. She said, I would see your videos in my news feed and I would just keep scrolling. And she said, my friends kept sending me your videos. And I was like, why are you doing this? Don't send this. I don't want to hear this white dude go off. That's the last thing I want to hear. And she said, one day a friend of hers was like, no, really, really click on this and watch it. And she said, I did. And I was amazed that, you had those viewpoints. So I get it all the time. I get it. And especially because I played music in my part of the world for over 20 years. I played a lot of redneck dives. And he was up there doing Waylon Jennings and Leonard Skinner covers, writing my own songs and throwing them in, trying to win the crowd over. And I did win the crowd over with a lot of songs that I wrote. So they would see me out at those places. And I wasn't up there like John Lennon and Yoko Ono having a bed in on stage at the Mustang Lounge in Tazewell. It's like I wasn't doing that. I wasn't up there on a bullhorn talking politics. So, I was hired to play music. So that's what I was doing. So when I started talking to politics like this, I had so many people reach out and go, man, I never thought you thought that. I never knew you believed that way. And I was like, I've always believed this way. It's just that, a lot of times in our part of the world, we don't speak out and say it because of where we're at. Because where we're at, we're the minority. I may have a big following here on YouTube, but when I walk out the front door, I'm in a small town and I'm in the minority. And if I go to the family reunion and I start speaking out about things, I'm in the minority. If I start talking politics at the bar, I'm in the minority. And so what I would say to Charlie Kirk and his audience who can't figure out, why there's not a straight night at a ball game or why there's not a white music awards show and all this crap that they say, I would say this to them: try our act on for size just one time. Just try it out. Go to the family reunion and say the phrase Black Lives Matter and see how far you get. Start taking up for gay people, start taking up for trans people, start speaking out about injustice, and just call out Donald Trump. Say he's full of shit. Say that at the family reunion. Say that down at the bar. And you'll see really quickly that you're living in these little small towns in this little small bubble, and you guys are the mainstream in your part of the world. You're not rebels and renegades and outlaws. You're not at all. You are the mainstream, and you are the establishment in your little corner of the world. And you're looking out here at things. Charlie Kirk is pointing at things and saying, hey, look at that. Those things he's pointing at is never going to come to your hometown. It's never going to happen near you. You're never going to have to deal with it, never going to have to face it. You're never going to see any of the things that he's sitting there going on about. And he's sitting there explaining things to you that you've never actually got out and went past the end of the holler, go past the dollar store, okay? Just keep driving. Get to the big town. Realize that there's other people out there. There's a whole another universe out there. Remember Reba McEntire? Is there life out there? Yes, there is. There's life out there, okay? And if you go out there in the world, and if you want to know about what black people go through, how about this? How about you sit down with black people and ask them? How about you talk it out with them? If you want to hear what they go through, one of the most humbling conversations I ever had was with a fellow musician, a black guy who sat and told me, we compared stories of getting pulled over by the police. Mine usually ending with me going home. His ended up totally different. And so it was a humbling conversation to have. If you want to know about trans people, go out and talk to one. Don't sit back and let Charlie Kirk tell you this is what they think. You're listening to somebody tell you what someone else is about, and they don't know. They're just trying to sell you something. They're trying to capitalize on your fear and your paranoia. That's how they're grifting you. They're capitalizing on your fear and your paranoia. And so stop being afraid and stop being paranoid and start realizing that, hey, we're all in this together. Because if you truly believe in this concept of don't tread on me, then you shouldn't want the government treading on anybody. And if you want to go around saying this stuff like, well, if they come after Trump, they come after you. Okay, I can flip that on you real quick. If they're going to ban drag shows, they could ban you. If they're going to go after trans people, they could come after you. If they're going to come after black people, they could come after you. I mean, it's easy to turn that around. It's easy to flip that script. But if people would have a more open mind to things and listen to other people's problems, it'd be a lot better world instead of sitting back and listening to some dude who has never been there, never struggled, never worked, never paid the price. You'll listen to them tell you how to think about things. These people never walked down the same road you did. Donald Trump never walked down the same dirt road you did with your grandpa. Donald Trump never had coal dust on his hands. Donald Trump never had sawdust on his clothes. Donald Trump never had calluses at all. He never worked a day in his life the way you did, the way that you had to work hard and pull yourself up. And so this idea that he's your hero and everybody else is your enemy is bullshit. He's aimed your fear and your paranoia and your anger and your resentment toward the wrong people. They've aimed it toward people you don't understand, and you're sticking right there fighting this battle that's not even real, because no one's coming after you. No one's coming after you in your way of life. Just because someone else says, hey, can I live alongside you and not have a knee in my neck? That doesn't mean they're coming for your way of life. That just means they don't want a fucking knee in their neck. That's all there is to it. But I would say to people in my part of the world that tunes into Charlie Kirk, go out into the real world and talk to the real people. Hear their point of view, hear their struggles, hear what they're going through. And don't sit and pin your faith to a dude that was born in 1993 wanting to go back to the 50s. That's just ridiculous.